Are you tired of sitting on the sidelines watching opportunities pass you by? You know you have what it takes, but something's missing. It could be doubt, confidence, or fear that you're not representing your best self. Whatever it is, it stops now. It's time to align your passion with your purpose and seize the opportunities that await you. I want to see you get back in the game. So join me and my expert guests as we talk all things image, branding, and a bit of entrepreneurship. So if you're ready to gain insightful tips, tools, and strategies to help you amplify your presence and define your impact for greater success, sit with us as we talk about it.
Welcome back to the Image Connection Show, where we go beneath the surface of image, branding, and presence to help you live and lead with impact. I'm your host, Jenny Dewberry, certified international image, personal brand coach, and consultant, and it's a pleasure to have you here with me today. The Image Connection Show is a conversation driven show that explores how inner alignment impacts your outer image, personal branding, leadership presence, and visibility. Before we talk about any of that, we do have to talk about alignment because image isn't just what people see, it's what they feel. Every choice we make, from how we show up to how we speak, it's all influenced by what's happening internally. And when those internal barriers go unexamined, they shift our confidence, they shift our leadership presence, and they also impact how we accept opportunities and the opportunities that we allow ourselves to step into. And so this show exists so that we can um, connect those things and accept the opportunities again that are before us. And today, my guest is Zoraida Morales. Zoraida is here with us to talk to us about image, how she overcame cancer and how that impacted her life and her journey. And again, she is here to help us examine how we can move forward in those moments of difficult times. So help me wish Zoraida Morales to the show.
Thank
Well,
you, Jenny.
you're welcome. So I am going to let you introduce yourself and tell the audience what it is that you do. There's so much. You have so much to offer. You have so much experience in different areas of life. So I want you to talk from your heart to let them know what it is you do and who you serve.
Well, first, let me say thank you for having me.
Of course.
I enjoy having conversations with you. We're very much aligned.
I think so.
Um,
Yeah, we are.
and yeah, and your message that presence equals power.
Hmm.
Oh my God, that resonates with me so deeply
Yeah, it does.
because after cancer, Jenny, I learned that the presence isn't something that you put on.
Mm-mm.
It's something you rebuild.
That's right.
And so when life strips you down, right, and you don't know who you are, you become who you're meant to be. And that work that I do now, helping women rebuild identity, confidence, and alignment from the inside out so the image reflects truth, it's not just survival.
Hmm.
And so at 45 years old, I am living in the house built just for me. I have two small children. I'm married. I'm in the career, in my finance career, and I get a diagnosis of chronic myeloid leukemia. And it rocked my world.
I know.
But 10 years after that, and I'm still taking chemo, I asked for a divorce. And that cracked me open.
Mhm.
That was
Mhm.
the pinnacle of this transformation that I underwent.
Yeah.
And because of that transformation, I became a cancer coach. I became a nutrition coach, speaker, writer. My life has changed in so many different ways because now my focus is on helping women reclaim their identity. And I'm a woman of a certain age. So I'm helping my fellow sisters, and I love it.
That's wonderful. Isn't it amazing that how we go through life transitions, whether that's a health scare, whether that's just a life changing journey, something has happened that has required us to shift. And we look at those moments when we're in them as something, as we just spoke about, something happening to us. And even though I'm not making light of cancer at all, that's pretty heavy load to carry. But when you get on the other side, how we realize that it happened for us. And I'm hoping I'm not speaking too lightly on that, but just I'm speaking about transitioning and transitions that happen in life that requires us to step back and really, really dig deep and discover who we are. You know, and once we do that, when we peel back all the layers and we're standing there vulnerable, we have nothing else to lean on but ourselves. It's powerful when we get through that, when we learn how to embrace what that thing is and embrace who we are becoming. And many women, they go through these transitions and they look in the mirror and they no longer know who's looking back at them. What would you say to the woman that is in that place?
Oh my God. You know, everything that I teach now is by lived experience. Yes, I got the certifications, but every program that I've created, it's by lived experience. And so I implore women to reset your mindset. Resetting the mindset, it's about interrupting those old patterns. Those old patterns, those old stories we keep telling ourselves, and finding those new truths. So I use the 3 pillars of nutrition: the mental, physical, and the spiritual, to help my clients reset, right? Because when you nourish the body and renew that mind and anchor your spirit, you reclaim your presence, and presence equals power.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, I'm all about presence. Each of us are about an inside out transformation, whatever that is for the person that's going through that journey. No matter what you've been through, you have to start on the inside. Nothing sustainable happens outside of the body. So, starting on the
That's
inside,
right.
yeah. How do you connect image and presence to that journey of becoming the important parts of image? What's required there? Do you think is required there? Especially again, when you're going through that transition where life has impacted you in such a way, kind of broke you down in a way, and that
Yeah.
resilience that's required. And then looking at ourselves differently. I know I just said a lot there, but
Physically, yeah, no, thank you for that, because,
mhm,
physically we can see the changes, right? And then emotionally, we may not be happy with them
right.
because we're thinking, I'm supposed to be in the best part of my life. And so my body's supposed to reflect it.
Mhm.
What I found with me and the clients that I work with is that the body image is often the silent struggle behind the confidence,
Definitely, yeah. So true.
right?
Yeah.
So many of my clients, including myself, felt disconnected with our bodies,
Mhm.
whether from illness, aging,
Right.
the pressures of leadership,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So I help people, including myself, look at the body in a different way. Look at it as what it gives you versus what you're not getting from it. So I
Mhm.
guide my clients to shift that focus from perfection to purpose, right? Because we have a body that's helping us walk, um, exercise, do yoga, get from one place to another. So there's a function behind that. And through the nutrition coaching, through mindset work, through spiritual practices. I help them see their bodies as this vessel of resilience and legacy, right? We were just talking about legacy a little while ago.
Right.
So when we embrace our scars and our strengths and our stories, the confidence becomes unshakable.
Yeah.
And actually, for me, the imposter syndrome started to go away.
Isn't that something? Yeah. Because you're no longer trying to live up to the expectations of everyone else, especially going through again these transitions and things that have shifted our lives.
Yeah.
What other people think we should be doing or feel that we should be doing, we're no longer concerned with that. And then there's a certain age where you're going to do things your way. You're not
Yeah.
trying to fit into a box. And when you talk about body, you're talking about body image. Of course, as an image consultant, I'm all about that. And when we embrace our bodies, I think the only thing that we are missing when we are not with embracing our bodies and showing up positively and feeling good about what we look like physically is it's the clothes that we wear. I think a lot of that has to do the confidence, of course, from if it's from the outside can be fleeting sometimes if you know who you are internally and then you're working on the outside. It doesn't matter the body image, what body type you are, what size you are. You just have to know how to dress for that body and be intentional about what we put on our bodies. It's a
Yes.
clothes are a tool. It's our most powerful communication tool. It's the first thing that people see, and they
Mhm.
gather. We're gatherers as human beings. We gather things. We look at something and we instantly gather information, and we put people in a box based on what we see. So it's important to
Yes.
be intentional about how we show up in the world. But dressing for intention, excuse me, with intention for someone that, again, have rediscovered themselves. We're talking about becoming here. They have rediscovered or even discovered who they are because, again, they've probably been running around or walking around with imposter syndrome, not sure of who they are because they haven't taken the time to sit and just sit with themselves, which is required to know who you are. What would you say to that woman that is going through, again, that transition? She no longer knows her body, or she has not embraced her body enough to show up in rooms with confidence in that presence that it takes to open doors
Yeah.
of opportunities and so forth.
Oh, wow. I mean, you know, just the other day, I was looking through my closet, right? Because it's spring cleaning time
Mm-hmm.
for me. And I'm going, okay, I can't wear this. Okay, I can't wear that. Okay, I can alter this. I can donate that. And, image came up
Mm-hmm.
for me, right? These are classic clothes that I've had that I would still love to wear, but they may not be the right size anymore because my waist may have gotten a little wider,
Yeah.
right? Um, and so I gave myself a big hug
Mm-hmm.
and and kind of said goodbye to these clothes because that was then, that was the past, and I'm not living
Yeah.
in the past anymore. And so I'm living in this new body, Jenny,
Mm-hmm.
this new way of being. And what I've learned, and now as I get older, is that once I define the message of who I am,
Mm-hmm.
my image and the confidence will reflect that
That's
and my
right.
clothes.
Yeah. It becomes natural. Again, we talked about ease. You're moving with ease. It's easier for you to enter rooms and feel authentic in who you are, right? Once we've
Yeah.
gone through that. And then, holding on to those items that no longer serve who you are, and where you're
Yes.
going. And we do get attached to our clothes for many different reasons. And
Yes.
so detaching, detaching is powerful too, because when you no longer have to look at those clothes that may remind you of parts of your life that don't necessarily deserve your energy and your attention, but we hold on to those things because of certain feel good feelings that we had when we wore them, or maybe who
Mhm.
purchased them for us, or you know what I mean, when we were going through something
Yes.
positive. But then when the opposite is happens and we look at those items, it takes us back to those moments that could keep us stagnant, you know, keep us from moving forward because we're holding on. So
Yes.
detachment is very important. And closet purging, you said, keep it, fix it, or donate it, you know. And so you have to decide which of those are going to be best for you when we're doing that. But again, it's amazing. Well, it's not really amazing. It's interesting how when we talk about image and we talk about clothes and we talk about presence, how that can is related to our life journeys and you
Yeah.
know transitions and even illnesses. Clothes, when we put on, well, I'm going to let you speak to this stuff, but when I feel that when we dress up, no matter how we feel, well, I know, no matter how we feel, when we dress up, we instantly feel better. And I think that's just something as a woman, because it's so important to us how, you know, how we show up and how we look, that when
Yeah.
we are able to do that, you know, it
Hmm.
shifts something in us. So I think that the best thing that we can do when we are going through different phases of life, if we're going through an illness, if you can get up and put on some clothes, do that and watch how it shifts how you're feeling in that moment. Would you agree?
Oh, I totally agree. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you know, you want what who you are on the inside to show up on the outside, because it does. What you wear and how you present yourself shows up before you speak,
It does.
right? Your image tells that story before you speak. So you want to make sure that it's a story that you want remembered, right? And so I I I, I commented on LinkedIn yesterday on maybe one of your posts
Mm-hmm.
where it reminded me how I used to go to my chemo appointments in full corporate attire. And
Yeah.
and I did that because I wanted, and I'm going to be frank, I wanted part of my old life back,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted that investment banking manager person to show up for this
Right.
appointment, and I wanted to, and I know that I could show up with more confidence and more aligned with partnering with my doctors.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I'm going through this cancer journey, and I took chemo for 13 years,
Wow.
and I still go to my oncologist. I go every 3 months now.
Mm-hmm.
I still show up in kind of corporate clothes, but now it's business casual.
Right. Yeah.
And
Empowered.
yeah, and here's why. And not all the time, because there's times I had to go in with sweats, right? My leisure wear, because
Mm-hmm.
I was having an operation or I was having a procedure, or I just didn't have the energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you have those moments. But for the times where I felt pretty okay, I did that for two reasons.
Mm-hmm.
One, I wanted my confidence to be present. I wanted people to feel something, that when they met me, when they spoke to me, that they saw a woman who, yes, has cancer, but they also saw a woman who is a human being going through human experiences
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and finding her best self. Two, I'm a brown Latina woman. And so I want to be taken seriously, because I want the doctor to understand that this is a partnership.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask you questions. And it's not because I have doubts, it's because I want to be an active participant in my own health.
That's right. That's right.
And you know that a lot of us were brought up, because I was born in the 60s, to defer to medical professionals,
Mm-hmm.
right? You don't
Yeah.
question, you don't ask, well, why that treatment and not this treatment? Why that medication and not this medication?
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And so
I
you're
hope I answered the question.
yeah. So you're saying that and I'm in total agreement again, how we show up, it offers a level of self-respect, but it also allows those around us to respect us too. So they're more inclined to listen to you. They're more inclined to answer your questions in a thoughtful way.
Yeah.
You're not offending by asking. You're certainly not offending by asking questions about your health. But
Yeah.
again, do you think
Yeah.
if you had shown up in a different way that you would have been received and that your questions would have been received the same? I don't think so. And that goes back to, again, how we show up. Our clothes are so much more than just something that covers our bodies. They are
Yes.
a language. They speak. They speak, and they speak powerfully, and they're loud. And so, whatever message that we want to convey, we want to start with making sure that our inner, what our thoughts are and what our inner messages is aligned to how we're showing up. So if we say that we want to achieve a thing, we want to meet a person, and we want to accomplish something, a goal, then why wouldn't you position yourself to do that in the manner that you dress? Tell the story through your appearance, so to speak.
Yeah,
Hmm.
because it's everything. It's the
Yeah,
first
yeah,
thing people see.
it is. Hmm.
Right?
I think that this conversation is good. Again, we're talking to you, Zoraida, because you have gone through a life journey, a transition, and that you're very passionate about. And as business women, sometimes when we go through these journeys and we have these health um, issues, we don't want people to know about it. We want to keep it a secret.
Yeah.
But I think that does less harm than sitting here, excuse me, and talking about it. I can remember having a coach many years ago. She was going through a life crisis, and the first thing she said to me is, "Oh, you can't tell anybody because they'll." I can't remember exactly what she said, but she wanted no one to know. Can you? I can't even imagine going through something like that, and you have to keep it a secret. It's tough enough to even have to deal with it, but not to be able to tell anyone out of fear of judgment. I think that's awful. So I think that these type of conversations is good, so that those that are out here listening and going through something and still showing up bravely. Oh, Leanne said, thanks for sharing your story. Still showing up bravely and hoping that their story, not hoping, but knowing that their story will resonate with someone. And if you touch just one person that's going through something,
Yeah.
you've done a great thing. So
Yeah. I
mhm,
totally agree. And I got to tell you, I didn't want anyone to know.
yeah,
I was afraid of how people would perceive me,
mhm,
and especially in the workplace. And I know that's a really real fear that we have. Um, and here's what happened. I went on LinkedIn while I was taking chemo, and by then I had done a lot of work on myself. I had
mhm,
worked with hypnotherapists and NLPs, and I worked through traumas and limiting beliefs and past life stuff. And I went on LinkedIn and I said, I am a cancer survivor. I have been taking chemo, and I'm still taking chemo for 13 years. And my that story blew up because people were saying to me, "Oh, when we worked together, you were taking chemo?"
mhm, yeah,
And it's not that I wanted to shock anyone. What I was doing was I was reclaiming myself. I am now a cancer and nutrition coach. That's what I was saying to people. But
right,
I had to explain how I got there. And
mhm,
so I was afraid that people, bosses, um, colleagues wouldn't think that I could do the work. And as people who get any diagnosis knows, your money, your is depletes
oh yeah,
because now you're not working as much. You're using up your retirement fund that you didn't think you were going to use till you were
mm,
67.
right, yeah, Yeah.
And now those old money stories that you have come up. And
Mhm.
so the reason I became a coach was because I don't want anyone to go through what I went through,
Right. Yeah.
because any diagnosis is lonely. And I want people to know that they're not alone, that I see you, and that hope is your birthright.
So good. That's good. Hope is your birthright, and it is. And we should never have to go through anything in shame. You know, it's not. You didn't ask
Yeah.
for this diagnosis, or you didn't ask for this shift that happened in your life, and so we should be able to talk about that and be still be respected, still be viewed as capable of doing what is has been given to you. Your, like you said, your birthright, and the gifts and tools that God has given you should not be diminished because you have an illness. You should be, that's the moment that you should be lifted up. Those people should be lifting you, uplifting you, and encouraging you, and reminding you of who you are and your value and your worth. So I am thankful for this conversation. I think it's been great. And I know that the listeners are getting some great value from it, Zoraida. And you're so passionate about it. I mean, every time you speak about it, I can just see that you're touched, not only because you've been through it, but I think because of the women that you help and help get through that difficult time that you found yourself in. If someone were wanting to connect with you and learn more about what you do, how could they do that?
I am at ZoraidaMorales.com. I'm also building a new website that's going to be called Life by Design, Not Default. We're working on it right now. And I live in LinkedIn. So I write 2 to 3 times a week on LinkedIn. And I talk about, again, those 3 pillars of nutrition: mental, physical, and spiritual. So I talk about fear versus faith. I talk about, that mental nutrition where the thoughts that you feed yourself are shaping your presence.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yes.
I talk about the body, that you nourish becomes the body that you dress.
Hmm.
I talk about, your spirit and how determines your energy. And I find that people outside of cancer are coming to me. My last 2 clients did not have cancer. One is going through a divorce, and she saw me on a podcast, and she heard me speak on, going through this this life-changing event while taking chemo. And so she hired me to help her get through her cancer journey, her divorce journey. Um, my other client got a pre-diabetes diagnosis, and she said, I'm not getting that diagnosis of diabetes. I'm going to hire someone to help me, and through using those 3 pillars, so that I don't have to come back and have to take any medication. So,
Right.
women are recognizing that there's so many resources out there, and that you're not alone.
Yeah.
And I find that women are helping each other, and I'm loving it. I am loving it so much. And I say that to a woman like you who is doing her part.
Yeah.
I mean, you're starting this platform, giving people permission to just be, to
Just
pause.
be.
You know,
Yeah.
it
Just
it's
be.
so important, right?
It
Pausing.
is. It is. It's because I don't know of many women that have not been through
Some,
something that has caused them to shift, that has caused them to pivot, and not something that they plan. Most times, those shifts and pivots, they're not planned. You're forced into it. And
yes.
many times we don't know how to get to the other side. And for me, going through my shift many years ago, it could have broke me. What came to break me really did bring me here, to this point here in my life. I could have used that situation could have made me say, oh, forget it. I'm not, I'm out. I'm out. Count me all the way out. But again, it's what we do with those situations. It's what we do in those moments and how we find strength in connection and sisterhood and how that gets us through. And so when we get through, we ought to reach back and help someone else get through. And it doesn't always have to be about $1, in my opinion. Sometimes you just want to go and help someone and let them know that, hey, this happened to you. Again, just because it happened to you doesn't mean you can't get through it. And when you get to the other side, you see why it happened. You may not understand it going through it, but you're okay with it once you get through it. So yeah. And again, so I appreciate you being here and sharing your story with the audience and me sharing it with me because it has heartfelt for me. And so we're going to take a shift when we come back. We're going to take a break and we're going to take a shift and we're going to talk about something you've already touched on, how to live a life of devotion, I believe. So we'll talk about that when we come back.
I love that.
Right.
You're not just building a career, you're building a reputation and that of your business. At People Power Consultancy, we coach ambitious professionals to refine their image and shape a personal brand that opens doors. Because the way you show up is your message. If you're tired of blending in, second-guessing your presence, or feeling unseen, this is your moment to stand out with purpose and polish. Visit peoplepowerconsultancy.com to start your transformation. Your next level has a look. Let's define it.
Okay, we are back with Zoraida Morales. Zoraida is here to talk to us and just really giving us some insightful, very valuable, insightful information and strategies about what she does, who she serves, and how she helps women get through life challenges and the journey of self-discovery, pretty much identifying who they are in those moments of maybe struggle or in those moments of life challenges. So thank you, Zoraida, for being here again. Before we went to the break, you talked about self-devotion. And so can you tell us what you mean when you say self-devotion and how someone can use the strategy that you use in order to present themselves in a way that is effective for them to help achieve their goals?
Oh, I love to, because devotion to self is really the foundation of everything that I do. Mm-hmm. And so for me, devotion to self is not indulgence. It's alignment. Mm-hmm. So it's the discipline of honoring your own needs before the world makes demands of you. Let me repeat that, because we as women put everyone else, we have a tendency to put everyone else before ourselves. So devotion to self is the discipline of honoring your needs before the world makes demands. That includes your children, your parents, your job, anything external. Because when you devote to yourself, your image becomes that reflection of truth, not exhaustion. So let me give you an example. When I was a finance manager working at the top 3 finance company in the world, I worked 12-hour days. I had a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. I had a husband, a house. I had a lot going on. I slept. I worked 12-hour days, and I slept 5 hours. That was not devotion to self. I didn't honor my heart. I didn't honor my body. Yeah. And so devotion to self says you need X amount of hours of sleep. Right now, my health is a bit, it's become a challenge. I'm almost 18 years out. So I have to sleep more than I did 10 years ago. So 7 hours of sleep is not going to work for me. Now I need 9 minimum.
Right.
And so knowing that, doing that body scan, knowing that I need that kind of sleep to show up for myself in my authentic being. So now I can pour from an overflowing cup while being on the Image Connection show. It's how I want to live. It's devotion to self.
That's good.
And so you see how it's not indulgence. It's something I do for myself, but now I'm able to give to you fully.
Fully. Yes, fully. You and I were so aligned. But yeah, fully. And we talked about, I think, when we were in back of stage, how we living up to the expectations of others, trying to do everything to appease everyone else, and we forget about ourselves. That is definitely not devotion to self. But living like that also, it carries a heavy weight because we're not sleeping how we're supposed to sleep. We're not eating how we're supposed to eat. And that in itself can cause internal trauma. So, yeah, I think it's very important for us to know that we do deserve a pause, and it's okay to pause. It's okay to put ourselves first,
Yes.
because when we do that, again, as you said, we're more equipped to pour where we need to pour, and we're not depleted. You know, you heard the saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. And it's so true. If a listener thinks about it, when we will become our jobs, you know, we in our titles. We forget that we are a person. We forget that we have lives outside of those roles. And though that executive C-suite role or title that you have, it's not you, it's what you do. And I think that we have taken the time to identify, again, who we are as a person first, then we'll know how to compartmentalize. And that way we're living more fully and more satisfied with who we are. Yeah. And so another question for you is living a life by design and not by default. How do you do that? Can you kind of explain your take on that?
Living life by design and not default means asking yourself, how do you want to live? What are you hungry for? What do you need that you don't have, and how do you get it? And it took me 2 years to answer those questions. And my answer was really simple. It was like, I want peace right here. I want love right here. And I want joy right here. Because I didn't need anyone else to feel that alignment with living my life by design. I needed to just love me and build up my own self-worth and know that my self-worth, that peace, that love, that joy here also meant that I had to quiet the mind and the ego and just live in my heart.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we don't have time to touch on it, but there's a whole process in getting to this point. A lot of it has to do with our conditioning, the stories we've told ourselves. So now living by design, it's living the way you want to live it here. It doesn't have to do with people, places, or things. It doesn't have anything to do with your title, how much money you make. It's here. And so I saw myself in that box. And I had to ask myself, how do I want to live? So we can all just go back, look at yourself in the box, and then think of, how do you want to end your life? Because I know that when my time comes, I already thought about it. I said, okay, I want a dry martini and I want some great music playing.
Yeah.
That's how I want to go. But I also want to go with, I also want the New York Times to write about me and say, Zoraida Morales was a champion of women, of people. She gave people hope because hope is your birthright.
Yeah.
And so
Certainly.
I'm living my life by design now. No one can tell me how to live now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people are shocked. What? You went from a finance project manager, assistant to the C-suite, and now you are a coach? Why would you do that? This is what brings me joy. This is what brings me peace. This is what brings me love. You see the difference?
I do. Yeah. It's personal and it's so liberating when
It's
you
personal
get
for
that
all of us.
courage. Yes, yes. And then it takes courage. That's another shift in your life. But it took courage to be able to do that. Um, how would you say? I mean, I know you thought about it during doing your process of your diagnosis, but how did you gain the courage to say, okay, this position, as good as it has been to me over the years, it's no longer serving me. It's not going to do me and where I am today. It's not going to do any. It's not going to be of any benefit of me today. So how did you get that courage to just move?
I had to take that deep breath, which I just
Yeah.
took right now because I was feeling it as you were talking
Hmm.
about it. I had to do a lot of work on myself. I had to dismantle a lot of limiting beliefs that I had. I had to work through the generational traumas that were just going down from generation to generation.
Hmm.
And I had to work through past life stuff as well. I had to recode and I had to work with, I shouldn't say I had to, I wanted to work with NLPs and um, family constellation people and hypnotherapists because I had some deep rooted stuff that was getting in my way.
Hmm.
And once, and again, those are the stories we tell ourselves. Those are the stories that we're feeling in our body. And I just didn't want to live like that anymore because I said to myself, if I'm taking chemo for 13 years and God believes that I am worthy, then I need to do something with this. I need
Right.
to listen to him.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so how am I going to show up for myself? Well, I had to get rid of the old stuff. I had to forgive. That's another thing. That's another podcast. To forgive other people and forgive myself for who I was, for what I
Hmm.
said, for what I did.
Yeah.
And so I created this energy archetype quiz, which is now going to be the lead magnet in my new website, Life by Design Not Default. And it's a mind, body, spirit, strength energy quiz
Hmm.
that tells you where your energy is at, not where you're deficient, just where you're at and how you can build on that. And I'm happy to share it with your
Yeah, we
audience.
have the link here for that too. So, anyone in the audience, you want to take down, the link is quiz.lifebydesign.default.com.
Yeah.
So you could get that link, and get the quiz, get the archetype quiz, so that you can kind of identify how you move through life and why you do the things the way that you do them. It's really good to know what your archetype is. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
so that you can understand yourself better. It helps
Yeah.
you to understand yourself too. So
And
yeah.
I'm going to give you some micro habits
Mm-hmm.
according to the pillar that you want to work on.
Mm-hmm.
And again, these are micro habits that you can do in less than 5 minutes, right? Because we're here to build on one micro habit at a time. We're not trying to change our whole life in 5 minutes,
Can't,
right?
can't. But the small intentional steps make a difference in everything that we do. When I'm working with clients, it's just the small intentional steps, things that may seem superficial or may seem like they're not making such a great impact. But when you do them and you practice them, those small steps daily, it kind of gives you the courage to take bigger steps and do things take a broader approach to things. So start with those small steps, and they're life changing. They can change things instantaneously. So yes,
Yeah.
nothing is too small. Again, we have been here talking about Zoraida, been talking about transitions in life, how to identify who you are, and how to get over certain barriers in our lives. And it's been a great conversation. It really is aligned with image because image is inside out, and what people see is it's important, but it's also what they feel, and the things that we tell ourselves about who we are is what we become. So it's very important, even in those moments of challenges and struggles. Those are moments that we can take advantage of to really sit with ourselves and learn who we are and discover how we're going to get from point A to point B and shed and stretch. I think those are just moments when we feel we have nothing else to do and we have nowhere else to reach. Those are the moments that we can discover who we are and where we're going. You're talking about becoming. So how do you become if you don't know who you are currently? So just do the work to do that. What would you say to that, Zoraida?
Ooh, yeah. I agree with everything you say. Um, you know, once you start with your energy and not your wardrobe, you can dress for your life that you're designing, right? And designing the life that that's you're becoming, right? Not the life that you're leaving.
Right. Yeah, that's in the past. We're moving forward. And those, in those experiences, in those challenges and struggles, there's always parts of that that you can take with you. I believe that everything that we go through, you can find some good in that. Sift sift out the good and take it with you and apply it to the new journey, the new version, the new person that you are becoming. Don't leave all parts of yourself behind. That's not necessary. You've
Right.
grown through those challenges. They have given you something, even though it didn't look good. But I bet that if you look back, you could probably think, well, there was something there that was of benefit. There's something there that helped me to become the woman that I am today.
That's
And
right.
so, yeah, again, it's very important to not just, you know, look at the situation as a total, my words are escaping me, but as a total loss, for lack
Yeah.
of a better word. But take pieces with you. Take those pieces with you that you can identify and just use them to help you to become the woman again that you aspire to become. And you have Zoraida, a recipe here, honey ginger turmeric balm.
Oh yeah. So
That sounds
the
good.
the honey ginger turmeric balm is for those that want like a simple daily ritual to support your body. And it supports your body in two ways. So it decreases inflammation in your body,
Mhm.
and it also eases your indigestion. And these are organic ingredients, and you mix it up. And I prep it as part of my meal prepping every Sunday, and every morning I take a spoonful of it, and it's the most yummiest thing that I've ever had. And it's honey, it's ginger, it's cinnamon, it's pepper, it's MCT oil, it's raw honey. Um, all these ingredients, they all have these healing components, and sometimes I have to stop myself not to take more than one, because I eat clean, so I don't eat candy. And to me, this is like a yummy candy that I get to have. You can put it in your tea. My mom just had a stroke, so she is using it twice a day. She's using it in the morning and in the evening just to um, help her with the inflammation of that, and she's just feeling great. I mean, you know these these add-ons are not in place of medicine or medical treatments. These are add-ons. These are this is what I bring to my clients, ways that we can nourish ourselves cleanly. And so you'll love it. I can't wait for someone to tell me, and from your audience to say, hey, I tried it and I love it and I'm feeling, so much better. Yeah.
And here's the link for that as well.
Yeah.
There's a link for it, honey ginger turmeric balm. It should be up on the screen here shortly. And so make sure you get that. I mean, I know that honey, turmeric, and ginger alone are powerful. They're good, very good for the body and inflammation and such. And then, let me see if I can put this up. One moment. And also, Zoraida, I'm sorry. I can't get that up, but we will make sure that we get it up and in the comments so that people can get that for you. Again, this has been a wonderful, wonderful conversation. My name is Jenny Dewberry, and my guest is Zoraida Morales. She is the author, or her business is called Life by Design, Not by Default, or Life by Design, Not Default. She has given us some powerful, powerful information. She's shared so much of her journey with us. And it's been very heartfelt. And I tell you, I gained a lot from it. And again, I appreciate your vulnerability. I appreciate your expertise and you sharing your life experience with us and reminding us that, again, it's really not what you go through. For me, it's not what you've gone through. It's how you get through the other side, to the other side. And you talked about how we can do that. So again, you can reach her at Zoraida Morales .com. Also on LinkedIn, she is Zoraida Morales. Am I correct there?
Yes.
Okay.
And I've got a red suit on, so you could find me.
Look good in red.
It's my favorite color.
Yeah, it looks great on you.
Thank you.
Yeah, again, thank you for your time. Thank you to those who are listening and even those that are going to listen to the replay. I think you'll get some great, valuable information from this episode. I enjoy having women on the show, and I get a couple of men too, but I enjoy having you on the show when you talk about your stories and how they align with image and presence and even leadership. I think every story that I have here is connected to that. So I appreciate you being here with me. And for those that are listening, again, my name is Jenny Dewberry. I am an international image consultant and personal brand coach. You can find me at this show, The Image Connection Show. So please go to my YouTube channel and like and subscribe. My email address is info@peoplepowerconsultancy.com, and my website is peoplepowerconsultancy.com. So go there and check out the other resources that I have. And I also would like to offer you this guide, Why Image Matters and Why You Should Care. There should be. So if you scan that code, you can download that. All right, so that is it for us today. I want to thank my guest again. I know I probably thanked you 3 or 4 times, but again, I'm so appreciative of it. And so this is our show and remember that image is inside out. It really isn't where you've been, it's where you're going and how you're becoming. So be mindful and intentional of what we tell ourselves and also how we show up in the world today. Until next time, I'll see you on the Image Connection Show.
Thanks for tuning in to the Image Connection Show. We truly appreciate you being here. We hope you'll join us again. And don't keep it to yourself. Invite a friend to tune in too. If you're ready to gain insightful tips, tools, and strategies to enhance your image, brand, and help you along your entrepreneur journey, this is where you want to be. I'll see you next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, keep showing up with purpose, presence, and power.